All right, Tuesday, London open session. Here we go. Here we go. Since yesterday, looks like we are seeing some serious action overnight throughout the Asia. And I want to do a little bit of cleanup here. A little bit of cleanup. All right, so on the downside, we have this sell-side liquidity pool here and this fair value gap in BC as a potential discount draw. Looks like price wants to actually reach further lower in here, and the bias seems to be more prompt to work with lower prices apparently. This would be like the final sell side liquidity final boss. That's where the sell side resides. But near term, this minor sell side and this fair value gap would be some point of interest as we go further into this week. And yeah, the buy side here, even though it's very clean and nice and I like it, gotta be put on a back burner for now, I believe. All right, hope that will make sense. But yeah, yesterday we cleared a lot of buy side liquidity here. Quick and sudden rejection. Two CBs, this large CB left untouched, left open, working as a breakaway gap. This one only partially filled, and price rolled over lower, attacking this low and this low here. And it did it basically overnight with a quite significant, quite large protraction to the downside. So this coming London open session might be some range bound type of environment. So near term, we have still the low of this new week opening up to be reached. and then the sell set here. Now we clearly left some very clean and smooth buy sell liquidity up here. That's for sure. And we took out a measure of sell side liquidity below this old low from Wednesday trading. So yeah, now I really need to like figure out whether it wants to continue on going lower. And then these are the two most logical levels, or whether it wants to turn around a little bit. A little bit of retracement inside of all of this wouldn't be too earth-shattering, I believe. But yeah, we'll see what we get. Definitely I want to annotate this level here. Yeah, just a continuous slide lower, lower and lower and lower and lower. Let's see the Nasdaq. Nasdaq clearly has a sell side liquidity pool here that it wants to reach to. And that's the Wednesday's low that ES already traded to. So that's the sell side liquidity for Nasdaq to look for potentially. Quite extended since the Asia protracted run lower, aggressive run lower. But that's the ultimate target, in my opinion, still for Nasdaq to be engaged. Right. So I mean, it looks very, very, very heavy. So sticking to this sell set here wouldn't be too bad of an idea, I would say, especially as it's above the consecutive encroachment, which also would be a likely draw on the downside for price. So that basically makes the most sense in my mind. That's also quite a bit of a range still, almost 80 handles from where the price is currently. So yeah, I think I can watch and observe this idea for Nasdaq. Preferably if it clears some short-term buy side and or offers a little bit of a rally first, then maybe I could fade that, right, and eventually try to attack that sell side, but we'll see what we get here. 5 minute, there's no inefficiency. 10-minute, no real inefficiency. 15-minute, we have a fair value gap here. That's something. But yeah, I mean, it's already stretching towards the sell side ahead of 3 a.m. If it runs it before that, then that's fine. Alright, so 3 a.m. just started for the long open silver bullet. And yeah, ES basically reached all the downside targets near term. Nasdaq has this sell liquidity pool still to reach down into, but it might be a little bit too far to offer a setup still. I like this fair value gap there after 2 a.m. It's pretty much the first presented fair value gap after 2 a.m. delivering towards that sell side. Very, very heavy since Asia. We do have some relatively cool highs in here near term, so maybe disrupting that would be something to look for. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm sticking with this level here as a potential draw on liquidity near term. Good morning, Sonia. Hello. Hello, hello. All right, so looks like we are just sliding towards that low already. Yeah, I mean, generally looks pretty heavy. ES seems to be also a little bit weaker versus Nasdaq. Yeah, I feel like the sell liquidity here is the go-to idea for this long open session. If I were to do anything, that's like the idea that I would like to stick or go with and try to aim for that. Obviously, we made many lows. We took many lows in a row, and we are very extended inside of this range, so that's a little bit tricky to engage. Therefore, I would preferably or reasonably like to see a measure of retracement, a measure of a rally higher first to maybe take out some buy side liquidity that's pretty obvious and clear, like this here. This buy side here is very smooth, so maybe disturbing that first, and then turning around to attack that low would be something to look or watch for. We'll see. Yeah, keeping in mind that Asia was such a large range to the downside, and one-sided protraction, that usually brings a little bit of trouble going into the long open session. Long open session already delivered quite a bit lower too, but has yet to reach the draw on Nasdaq. Right. Well, looks like we are seeing a little bit of a rally here that will likely poke into this buy side liquidity and clear that out. All right. Interesting. We are seeing the rally that I was thinking about. We have a 15-minute bearish fair value gap right there. So that's something I'll be watching. Everything above is pretty balanced out. all of this is overlapping, and we have this fair value gaps up there. But yeah, this is reasonable expectation near term on the upside. That could work as a premium array to send us potentially lower. All right, so almost touching into that 15-minute bearish fair value gap and clearing the near-term buy side liquidity that was pretty smooth. That could potentially allow for setting up a continuation to run that actual sell side liquidity. So let's see. I would like to think about this low in here as a potential fake low that is being placed, and this rally is meant to be chased, while it should roll over lower and take out the sell side liquidity below this, because ultimately that's the draw on liquidity. So that's how I think about it. Let's use the 2-minute chart because it's just way cleaner. So yeah, if that's the case, any busy in here, any bullish fair value gap like this, I want to see it act as a bearish inversion fair value gap. So that's also something to look for. Well, I wonder if I use this 50-minute Verval gap itself. I would need to aim for something like this on the downside. I mean, quite reasonable of an idea nonetheless, within the logic. But maybe it could be reduced to something less than this. Alright, so that's the 30 minutes bearish Verval gap. That's how it looks like. There are many inefficiencies above it too, but this is like a little balanced price range in here already, so it shouldn't necessarily go up there. Trading up into this inefficiency would be like fair enough. We maybe touched the low, but not quite even. Price is rolling lower a little bit. I would like to see a slightly higher high, taking out the short-term buys and then rejecting. And that would be potentially nice. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we get. Well, again, it seems like it's turning around in here, but I mean, I would like to see this short-term high being taken one more time, because this turnaround looks a little bit too smooth, too vague, too simple to anticipate like serious continuation lower. No, I'm not saying it can't, but I would preferably like to see some one more time stab above it, at least one more time stab above it. Because yeah, also we need to keep in mind that we are selling since Asia, so for hours now. From here we dropped almost 700 handles lower with a very heavy slide. We still have the target on the downside to reach for, that's for sure, but will that be engaged this session? That's the question, right? I would say if it would be to be engaged during this long open session, we would like to see some run on the buy side first, right? We did run all of this buy side liquidity, yes, that's nice, but then we turn around a little bit softer, so taking one more time higher into this fair value gap. Yes, that's a 30-minute bearish fair value gap. That's a CB on 30-minute chart, because we didn't quite really trade into it. We maybe snapped the low of it, but that's a little bit too little to be very confident about it, especially as ever since we are just banging around. We close below this potential inversion for value gap, but the next candle then closed above it right away. So all right, so now a measure of displacement lower. Let's see if it leaves an inefficiency here or not. I believe there is a little bit of a volume imbalance on top of it. All right, so let's see. We have this CB in here. That's a nice displacement nonetheless. And we have still the lower draw. Let's watch whether it will deliver or not. The only reason why I am concerned about this delivering is the fact that since Asia we moved 700 handles lower already. It was hugely protracted Asian session, which usually makes the London Open session a little bit sneakier, a little bit more suspect, a little bit more difficult to navigate. Therefore, when I see a potential setup like this during this time, I'm not trusting it that much, right? Even though, yeah, technically I would like to see it deliver. Technically, I like this inefficiency, the CB to see price roll over lower and take out this low and that old low. I see the issue that this session might be meant to be tricky and sneaky and difficult and show things like this to disturb um, some people. So yeah, let's see, let's watch. Nonetheless, quite difficult session nonetheless, I would say. Three 335 or 325, I assume, as a bullish order block. Well. It might be, right? And that's kind of like the problem with this scenario, that it might be. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's still, I mean, by definition, this session is meant to be rather difficult because of what Asia did. I personally still would like to see Nasdaq drop to that old low, 29,922. I feel like that makes the most sense as a draw on liquidity still to the downside. So bearishness in my mind is or should be favored. Can this little setup, little CB here deliver that? Theoretically, it could, right? Practically, can it fail? Yeah, it can be at least sneaky and tricky. So let's see. So far, we are seeing a measure of displacement lower here off of that CB, and if that's meant to take out this low, it should just continue and aggressively keep on going lower. But I just don't trust the price action that well to believe that it will do it actually. I mean, if it will, then that's great. I will log it and keep it in the journal, but yeah. All right, so it's nicely stretching lower though, below that short-term low, which in my opinion it looks promising to attack that old low from where we are right now. It should do it rather quickly and rather with large ranges though, if it's good. I wouldn't like to see any deep retracements at this moment. Yeah, I mean, so far it seems like it wants the old low. So let's leave it like that. I'm personally curious whether we can get it or not. We have another little bearish fair value gap that we could reach up into and then try to sell off again. But this one seems a little bit more tricky to trust, maybe. All right, so we are piercing through that little fair value gap there, and we are likely to come back to that original DB that started this little sell-off here. And yeah, I mean, generally that's the thing. That's a little bit problematic. I don't like to see price come back that deep. Let's see if it can roll over here, but that's already a little bit problematic. There is a small little fair value gap there too. We just snap up into it. So we should see a immediate reaction lower and quickly running towards this old low. Why? Because we are so close to it. All right, so I like this rejection here. That should run the low next. It should do it. So that's what I wanna watch and see. And yeah, even though I'm not trading this, if it delivers, that's fine. That's great. That's another log, another experience. But if it doesn't work and pull out some shenanigans on me here, then I'm actually way more content with not engaging this than engaging and even getting that small little victory here. But yeah, there is a reason why I'm hesitant to engage this, and the main reason is because the Asian session was such a large range and it was such a protracted range. That's why I'm hesitant to basically enter during this London Open silver bullet per se, anticipating some difficult sneaky price action that may look like something is there but ultimately not be there or something like this. So inside of this fair value gap from 331, we hit down delivery, up delivery, down delivery, and we left. So this is basically like a balanced price range. So it should just keep offering like stiff resistance and sending it lower. It's not necessarily doing it right now, which is a little bit suspect, but I guess that's a classic manipulation there. We can see that ES is continuously making lower lows and snapping lower and lower, while Nasdaq is clearly refusing to do so near term, which also is a little bit problematic and or trickier for being Nasdaq short at this moment. All right, one more touch into this original CB here. Only weak touch into it, the body couldn't close inside of it. So it should quickly reject and attack the sell side, in my opinion. Otherwise, it just becomes very, very difficult. Or even more difficult than it is already. That's a very good start to it. And maintaining that heaviness would be ideal, I would say. All right, so it's nicely extending towards the old low. I would really expect to just snap aggressively below it. But yeah, at the same time, I'm still a little bit concerned about it. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly reaching towards that old low, but the way it's doing it, it's pretty slow after all. And yeah, a lot of back and forth price action was presented too. So now snapping lower, taking the minor sell liquidity, and it should expand and speed up towards that old low already, in my mind. But it's pulling off some shenanigans here, and yeah, I don't really like any retracements at this moment here. Higher, definitely this high should not be taken out. In my opinion, the 340 high should stay. Why? Because it already took out this short-term high here. That was like a stop run. It has balanced price range linked to it there. So it should never ever take this out unless it wants to go higher, actually. And we should see just a smash and run on that old low. sell side liquidity, and that would be it basically, if it can deliver. Obviously, the idea is not only to go to it, but also through it some. So yeah, but it's still hesitant. All right, so the sell side liquidity is in striking distance here, definitely. The run has been very lethargic recently here, but nonetheless, it's almost there. So let's stick to the idea that it will actually go there and deliver that sell side liquidity below the old low 29,922 even. And yeah, that would be basically it for the long open session. If it leaves it like this, then that row would still stay for future reference, and then that would be actually the classic long open delivery after such a large Asian session protraction to the downside. So let's see, but I don't know, right? I don't know. It could deliver, it should deliver. Sell side is there. If it wants that sell side, it can take it anytime at this moment. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly taking so much time here instead of just delivering that sell side. Yeah. Hmm. It went very, very close to it. Now rejecting slightly. Still odd low in a striking distance at this moment. And in my opinion, only manual intervention could prevent price from actually reaching that. Yeah, I mean it's really tricky price action here. It is drawing lower, yes, but I don't know, this price action just doesn't feel that trustworthy at all. I mean, yeah, rather difficult conditions overall. But yeah, if it can reach that sell side, that's all I would expect for for the session anyway. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we get there, but this one was rather meant to be difficult, and it was pretty pretty expensive in terms of like patience that would be required to navigate through this and stuff like this. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hate on it necessarily, right? But usually after such a large range during Asia, and look what we are facing here, we sold off quite largely, right, since Asia. Yet had this old low to be reached as a potential draw on liquidity on the downside, and still we are so close to it, but not yet breach it, refusing to do so. Eventually, it should snap below it, I believe, but yeah, I decided not to engage with it. Would it deliver? Apparently, yes. If I used this CB, apparently it would deliver it nonetheless. But yeah, I've chosen not to engage this session uh, because of the reasons that I already explained. So we got the old low sell side, we tapped to it, slightly below it. I would like to see it go below it more convincingly, not only with a week like this. That's not necessarily enough for my liking. The consecutive encroachment of this new week opening up would be like a go-to idea, I would say, on the downside, near term, and yeah, good practice session nonetheless. That's for sure. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for the London Open session here, and I'll be back for the New York AM session later today. We'll see what we get there. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later. Bye.